Welcome to The Explainer. Have you ever wondered why some creators have this incredible, thriving community, while others just hear crickets? Well, today we're pulling back the curtain and diving deep into the psychology of engagement to figure out the secrets to turning those passive viewers into real, active participants.
All right, so here's the game plan. First, we'll tackle the engagement gap, the problem every creator runs into. Then we're going to get into the fascinating psychology of why we click and how you can get that all-important yes. We'll also talk about the super important ethics of all this. And finally, we'll wrap up by looking at the world through a completely new lens. Let's do this. Okay, first up, let's talk about a problem that every creator knows all too well. That huge, gaping chasm between the people who just passively watch your stuff and the ones who actually truly engage with it. You've seen this a million times, right? A video goes wild, gets thousands of views, but then you look at the comments and there's practically nothing. That right there is the engagement gap in action, and it's a huge challenge. See, hitting like is easy. It's almost a muscle memory at this point. But leaving a comment? That's different. That takes thought. It's a real commitment. And that's the leap we're talking about. The journey from just being a viewer to becoming an active member of a community. So how do we actually build a bridge across that gap? Well, to get there, we've got to dig a little deeper, Look under the hood of the human brain at something that shapes pretty much every decision we make, without us even realizing it. Okay, so this is where it gets super interesting. It's called the principle of coherence. And what it really boils down to is this. Our brains are basically consistency machines. We have this deep, powerful need to make our actions line up with our past decisions. We want to see ourselves as consistent people. It's a huge driver of our behavior. But here's the kicker, the real secret sauce. For this principle to really work its magic, that commitment, even a tiny one, has to be made public, in front of other people. That's when our brain really doubles down on wanting to stay consistent. And that is why a simple comment is so much more powerful than a private like. It's not just a comment, it's a small, public declaration. By leaving it, that person has publicly planted a tiny flag, and psychologically, that makes them way more likely to say yes to a bigger request down the line, like joining your community or signing up for a newsletter. Okay, so now that we get the why, let's get into the how. We're going to look at two super powerful, practical techniques you can use to encourage that first public step and get people on that path to yes.
All right, technique number 1, the foot in the door. You've probably heard of this one, and for good reason. It's a classic because it works like a charm. The whole idea is to start small to win big.
So here's how it plays out, step by step. First, you make a tiny request, something so easy it's almost impossible to say no to, like hit the like button. Then, and this is key, you give that tiny action some meaning. You say, your like helps more people find this info. Then, once you've gotten that first little yes, you make your real request. And guess what? Their chances of saying yes again just went way up. Okay, you ready to flip this whole thing on its head? Let's talk about technique number 2, the door in the face. This one is totally counterintuitive, it's kind of audacious, but trust me, it can be just as powerful. With this one, you start big. Ridiculously big. You make an ask that you know they're going to say no to. In fact, you're counting on them to say no. That refusal is actually the first step in the strategy. And this is where the magic happens. It's all about contrast, right? After you've asked them to do something massive, and they've said no, your real request, which is much smaller, suddenly seems, totally reasonable. It's like you're meeting them in the middle, and that makes them much more likely to agree. It's all about that power of contrast. Okay, so these tools are obviously incredibly powerful. And that brings us to maybe the most important part of this whole explainer. Because you know the saying, with great power comes great responsibility. It is absolutely essential that we talk about how to use this stuff ethically. Look, there's a razor-thin line between influencing someone and manipulating them. And it's so important to know the difference. Influence is about building trust and adding real value. Manipulation, that's about exploiting and deceiving people. One respects your audience, the other uses them. So, here are the guardrails, your ethical checklist, if you will. Number 1, be transparent. Be clear about what you're asking for. Number 2, make sure your final offer provides genuine value to them. And number 3, never ever use bait and switch tactics. That's a one-way ticket to destroying trust. Just remember this. The whole point here is to start a real, genuine relationship with people. It's not about exploiting some psychological trick for your own benefit.
It's a tool to open a door to a real connection.
So at the end of the day, what I really hope you take away from this isn't just a couple of cool persuasion tactics. It's like getting a new pair of glasses, a whole new framework for understanding how communication actually works.
Because once you see this stuff, you can't unsee it. You'll spot it everywhere, in ads, in politics, in your everyday conversations. You become a smarter communicator for sure, but also a much more aware consumer. So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you know how it works, how does that change things for you? The conversation starts now.